crime is going up in Canada, auto thefts. All the politicians now are saying, how are we going to stop people from stealing cars? Before you get the answer to that, please subscribe. PayPal, keep us on the air. Geoffrey Turner is a tax lawyer with Davies in Toronto. He's also a Conservative candidate, and he thinks about these things all the time. So I want to put the question to you. We have all these politicians saying, what are we going to do about the thefts and about, home break-ins? And police are saying, well, we don't have enough police. What's the answer?
Well, I think you're right that first we need to acknowledge that we have a problem with our criminal activity in our country.
Yeah.
And a recently released MacDonald-Laurier Institute report, they do a report every 5 years or so of the state of our criminal justice system. And the results this time are appalling. So the crime rates are up overall, and it's in particular violent crime. Severity index is increased since about 8 years ago. Non-violent, like property crimes, about stable, but overall it's up. And of course, you mentioned auto thefts. We all know that there has been a surge, especially recently, just in the last year or so, of auto theft crime like this.
Is that because there's a lack of penalty, or people are just saying to the police, stick it, we're going to keep on going?
So I think there are a number of causes, and of course one of them is the defund the police movement. So in Toronto, the budget has remained flat for quite a long time.
Yeah.
I live in Etobicoke. I went to the 22 division presentations to the community where they're trying to address the response times, which are far too long.
Right.
When people call in, somebody's breaking into my home to steal the keys for the car in my driveway, and then it's 20 minutes later the police arrive. It's not entirely their fault because they don't have enough resources to put enough officers on the street in patrol cars. That's part of it. Another part of the problem is the criminal justice reform that the current federal government has done. They effectively watered down our bail system, mandatory minimum penalties to reduce the level of deterrence in our criminal justice system. And now the repercussions of that softening of our approach to crime are now becoming much more apparent.
Well, we have these, quote, experts and criminologists and saying, well, you know what, you just can't have tough laws or penalties because that doesn't do it. But to most people, you're going to think twice about committing a crime if you know you're going to go for 5 years in a slammer.
Right. So the purpose of those reforms was a good one because there was a series of Supreme Court of Canada's cases on the Charter, right? And we do need to respect the Charter. I mean, heaven forbid that you or I are ever accused of a crime. We want to have strong bail rights as individuals and so on, and we don't want the government restricting those rights.
But we don't want the courts using the Charter to let people out when they're criminals.
Exactly. We need a balancing of those, individual rights versus the public security, versus deterrence, versus confidence in the administration of justice.
Right.
And what the Liberals did in C-75 is they tipped the balance toward early release of an accused person on bail to the detriment of downplaying the alternative or the other factors of security of the public and so forth. And that was an effective watering down of the system.
We need to tighten it up. Geoffrey, thank you very much. 3 minutes. This show provides independent analysis of the issues. We are not paid by the government. And as I am finding, so much business in Canada relies upon various governments that they don't want to sponsor or advertise on a show which may become controversial, which talks about liberty, freedoms, sometimes criticizes government. I've had guests on that support the government. But people are saying, you know what? We don't want to bite the hand that feeds us, i.e. government, which is why I hope you'll subscribe and contribute to keep this show on the air.